I think that might be a good segue, Phil, to bring you into the conversation. You're our national field director. What is a fiscal lookout? What type of role do we ask volunteers to fill?
Well, a fiscal lookout for the Concord Coalition is an absolute key role. The fiscal lookout is a volunteer statewide leader like Kevin in Indiana who looks out quite literally, like a lookout on a ship, trying to find opportunities to get information out, to educate people. We are in a sea of misinformation right now. We're living in an era when so much bad information is not just available, but actually pushed out to people. And then a lot of good, solid information is behind a paywall, right? And very hard for people to get to. So Kevin looks out for opportunities as a lookout for us. And as you mentioned earlier, he's on college campuses. He's a former Rotary Club president. So Kevin is a good example of someone who often speaks to civic clubs for us. And Indiana is such a key state as well, right? So being in the Midwest, I guess you could say, Kevin, you're kind of the home of vice presidents. You've had a couple of vice presidents in the modern era, but you've also had quite a legacy of people from both parties. I mean, including Congressman Hamilton, who's been deeply involved in fiscal issues, and also a senator who worked very closely. I'm from Georgia. Senator Sam Nunn was the chairman of the co-chairman of the Concord Coalition for a while. He worked very closely with Senator Dick Lugar of your state, and Senator Lugar is another example of someone who has been deeply involved in fiscal issues. So Kevin sees the big picture. He sees the long picture, and he's a good example of someone who is attracted to the Concord Coalition because tomorrow is not just another day. Tomorrow is an opportunity for us to look at the long haul picture, and he sees that clearly.
So, Phil, here's a follow-up question for you in terms of the type of person we try to recruit as a fiscal lookout. You know, it's no secret that we're in incredibly partisan times with very important national issues that, frankly, can easily drive a wedge between people or prompt an incredibly strong emotional or ideological response. You know, do you have to be, party neutral, issue neutral to be a fiscal lookout? What's it take? And is it necessary to almost be a monk among others in terms of some of the key issues of the day?
We have a wide variety of fiscal lookouts across the country. They come in all shapes and sizes and from all different backgrounds. And no, you do not have to be completely neutral. In fact, we have both Republicans and Democrats and independents who make up our team of lookouts across the country. I think the biggest commonality that the lookouts have is a concern about where our country's going over the long term, right? The long lookout, if you'll pardon the phrase, is the common thread that these volunteers have. Oftentimes people who might be involved with the family business, who see things through a generational lens, are people who are attracted to the Concord Coalition. And there are obviously people in both parties who see things through a generational lens and want to leave our country better off than they found it. In fact, I think that's one of the concerning things about the times we find ourselves in now. We could be the first generation in American history to leave our country worse off than we found it. And I know you guys and the people involved with the Concord Coalition want to make sure that doesn't happen. And for us to correct the course of our ship of state, we have to educate people, and people have to be involved and engaged. And that's exactly what a lookout like Kevin does. So Kevin, thank you for all your great work in Indiana.
How about you, Kevin? What's your call to action for fellow Americans or even policymakers?
Well, for fellow Americans, when I speak to the Rotary clubs, and I have several times recently, I tell them one of the best things they can do is call their congressmen and senators, thank them for the work they do, but tell them what you're concerned about specifically, not just an email that may or may not get answered by a staffer, but weigh in with those people and let them know what you actually think in a very professional way, even if it's someone you disagree with. As far as the policymakers themselves, the senators and congressmen, I try to do a combination of a letter and a phone call and ask for an appointment to talk to that senator or congressman directly about the issues that we are concerned about at Concord and why. So you have to be a proactive communicator, and you cannot sit back. the message I say, this is no time to sit back. If there was ever a time to step forward, this is the time. And have the courage. It doesn't take that much to do this, especially if they know you're being sincere.